You ever do this thing where you wanted to do something and then somebody asks you to do it like as a favor and then suddenly you don't want to do it anymore? Or do you have like an assignment that you have to do for school so you don't want to do it? Or have you ever been super into a hobby, absolutely loved what you were doing, completely into the intrinsic value, and then somebody suggested that you should monetize it, so you stopped doing that hobby? These are all symptoms of PDA, Pathological Demand Avoidance. They're a really common subset of neurodivergence. Basically, PDA is when somebody will go to extreme lengths to avoid doing anything that they perceive as an assignment. Anything that's an obligation, they don't want to do it. It might even be something that you might normally enjoy, like a party. You just don't want to put something down on the calendar. Having it on the calendar means it's an obligation, means you have to do it, means that you don't like it. You want to have free time. And then you could do whatever you want to in that free time, maybe even go to a party. Naturally, as a neurodiverse, affirming coach, I don't like the term pathological associated with this. What I like is the idea of this being called persistent demand for autonomy. This is about people wanting to be able to make up their own minds, wanting to be able to decide how to spend their time when they're spending their time, and not always be obligated for something else. Yeah, it can get out of control, and sometimes we need to do things that we need to do, but for the most part, there's nothing really wrong with it. This goes back to that whole dopamine transmission thing about how when something's assigned to somebody with ADHD, they don't get a dopamine hit when the project is done. But if they're interested, if they're engaged, then they do get a dopamine hit. So you can do something like go down a rabbit hole of learning about crabs for weeks and just completely become one of the experts in crustaceans. But if you had to write some sort of report about crustaceans, suddenly the fun could be all gone because it's no longer for its intrinsic value. And the intrinsic value is really where we learn the best. And that goes for anybody. And yet we've been taught to really overlook intrinsic value and instead look at what we are duty bound to do. The persistent demand for autonomy is morally neutral. It's nothing wrong with it. There are ways that you can manage it, ways that you can integrate it into your life and be a totally happy person. In fact, a lot happier than somebody who's bogged down with constant fear of obligation. And this is why you go to a neurodiverse, affirming coach in order to find a different way, a different path for you that doesn't utilize the tools that have been so useful to the neurotypicals who designed them to go on to teach other neurotypicals. Like, honestly, if I was being paid to do this TikTok, I probably wouldn't even do it. PDA, man.